during the second year that King Nebuchadnezzar, was ruling over the land, he had a dream. But it wasn't just a dream, it was a terrible dream, a nightmare, if you want to say that. And in this nightmare, he couldn't go back to sleep. So he called the people, and he wanted all the wisest people in the land to come together and help interpret this dream. He gave the command to call the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers, the Chaldeans, to tell the king his dreams. So they all came, and they came before King Nebuchadnezzar, and he told them that he had a terrible dream, and he really wanted to understand what this dream meant. The Chaldeans told the king to tell him the dream, and that they would interpret it. But King Nebuchadnezzar said, "No, you tell me the dream, and what it really means, and explain it to me." And they told King Nebuchadnezzar that, well, this isn't possible, because there's nobody on earth that could tell you the dream. No one could do that except the gods, lowercase g, and they didn't live on the earth. The gods didn't live on the earth. So this made King Nebuchadnezzar very angry. Very, very angry. He made this command. He said, "Get rid of all the wise men. I want them all killed. Kill all the wise men." So the order went out, and they were even looking for Daniel and his friends. We're going to stop right there, because I had to ask questions. Daniel and his friends, who are they? Daniel and his friends. Daniel was very righteous with God. He prayed to God. He was thrown in a lion's den. He had the faith that God was going to protect him, and he didn't care about these evil laws in the land that said you had to bow to the king. But Daniel didn't want to do that. He bowed to God, and he obeyed God only. And that's a great reminder. We need to obey God. And his friends, though, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, there's a really cool story with them. Did you know that they were cast into a fiery furnace, and they escaped completely unharmed? Not a single burn mark or even a hair was burned on their body, because there was a man of God in that fire protecting them. And King Nebuchadnezzar saw that, and he saw, well, that's really kind of cool. There is a God. He had these instances where he could see God. But back to King Nebuchadnezzar now. So King Nebuchadnezzar had Daniel and his friends come forward, and they were going to interpret this dream. This dream was terrible. It was a terrifying dream. Right now it may not seem terrifying when I'm explaining it, but there was this huge statue, a great big statue. On the head was made of gold. That represented King Nebuchadnezzar, because at that point it was the largest, it was the strongest kingdom that there is. And afterwards, another chest was made of silver that represented Persia, that represented Persia. And after this, after these next kingdoms, they're inferior. They're not as powerful as King Nebuchadnezzar's. The belly and the thighs were made of bronze, that represented Greece. The legs were made of iron, that represented the Roman Empire. The feet were made of iron and clay, that represented the divided Roman Empire. And the rock represented the best kingdom there is, the kingdom of Jesus Christ. So Daniel told the king that King Nebuchadnezzar was the king of kings, with power, strength, and glory given to him by God. King Nebuchadnezzar was the ruler overall in the kingdom. He is the head of gold, like I mentioned earlier. There would be another kingdom after that, and it would be lower in power and rank to the kingdom now. During this time, God will set up a kingdom in heaven that will never be destroyed. And that's the kingdom of Jesus Christ. We see that the rock. The rock will destroy all of the kingdoms will destroy all other kingdoms. Daniel told King Nebuchadnezzar that his great God had let the king know what would happen to the kingdom after the king died. And it is for sure. King Nebuchadnezzar had witnessed the power of the one true God when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were delivered unscathed from the fiery furnace. Daniel chapter 4 records a proclamation from the king, a first-person account for all nations of a dream and its life-changing fulfillment. Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about a strong, mighty tree that was cut down. Only the stump and the roots remained. God got Nebuchadnezzar's attention at this point. His wise men could not explain what the dream meant, but Daniel, good old Daniel, who came to Babylon with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, was able to interpret this dream. Like the tree, Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom would be taken away. But the dream gave an element of hope to the king. His kingdom would be restored when he acknowledged God is the ruler of everything. A year later, when just everything seemed to be going right for Nebuchadnezzar, It came true. Because he was walking around the palace, and he was being very prideful, I'm so much better than everybody else. I am a great king. Nothing can stop me, blah, 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 blah. And at that point, God spoke to him. And Nebuchadnezzar's arrogance and pride resulted in humiliation. He was driven away from the people. He ate grass like cattle. His hair grew long, and his nails were like birds' claws. Terrible. Now, after some time, Nebuchadnezzar experienced complete transformation. He looked up to heaven, and he praised God for who he is. He acknowledged God as the King of the heavens. Nebuchadnezzar was a simple man who exalted himself, and God humbled him. This coming week, we're going to see how I learned about a perfect king, Jesus, the sinful, sinless, eternal Son, humbled himself, and God exalted him. We can trust Jesus as King and live for God's glory. Isn't that a wonderful thing? I think it's a wonderful thing that we have a perfect King.